Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I'm Taylor with Boydston Grove, and today I'm going to show you how to build some plant stands 3 different ways.
Cool.
Let's get into it. Since we're right in the middle of our cold weather season, well, maybe not necessarily in Florida, but anyways, we're having to keep all our plants indoors. I figured a couple plant stands would be a pretty handy project. For plant stand number 1, I used this old pine board that was about 9 inches wide. I cut 3 pieces as long as the width so they were perfect squares. Using one of the pieces as a spacer, I got the measurement from corner to corner, cut 2 more pieces of that board to my measurement, and then ripped them in half on the table saw. Then I could take one of my boards, hold it in place, and mark my angles on the underside. Once I found my angle on the miter saw, I cut both ends of all 4 boards so that the long ends of the angles were opposite of each other. After some sanding, I pulled out my Kreg 720 and drilled pocket holes on both ends of each board. Alright, for all of you thinking, okay great, now I need one of those huge pocket hole machines to make this project, that is totally incorrect. All you need is this little kit right here, this small little Kreg jig kit. I've had this thing for years, it works great. All you need is this and one of these clamps. I'll leave links to these tools in the description below, and this is a great little tool to have in your arsenal. Then I assembled everything with glue and screws. Now I have to say that I legitimately hate this wood, and I don't say that lightly. These pine boards came out of the inside of a vault that was in the basement of a very old bank.
Wait, what?
So they are all but petrified, and I had a heck of a time drilling through them. I guess sometimes using scraps is just not worth the struggle. But eventually I did get it done. As you can see, I put the second set of legs on the opposite sides of the board. Just a few things here. The reason I use pocket holes on this design is because I didn't really want to see the screw heads, but if that doesn't really bother you, you could just as easily screw down through the panels and into the legs. Plus, after looking at it for a while, I decided that it might be nice to add a few legs on the bottom just to elevate it a bit. But overall, I really like the design. I think it looks really cool, and I like the fact that when you look at it from certain angles, it looks a little bit like it's twisted. All right, on to the next one. For plant stand number 2, I'm going to use 2 6-inch wide cedar fence pickets. I used the table saw to trim off the rough edges of the boards, and then I cut a piece to 6 inches long, and then one to 18 inches long, and one to 30 inches long. I cut some spacers to about 6 inches long, and similar to the first one, laid out my shelves to get my measurements for the legs. For the legs, you want to cut 2 pieces to 22 inches long and rip them down to 2.5 inches wide. Fortunately, I already had some picket pieces left over from when we built our picket fence last summer, so I just needed to rip them down to the right width. Then I cut the ends of each board to 31.26 degrees, which is a common stop on most miter saws. I wanted the legs to merge at the top, so I overlapped them a bit, and using a speed square and a stellar camera angle, I marked a line where they met. I reset my miter saw to 0 or 90 degrees, whatever you want to call it, and holding the angled end of the leg against the fence, I made the cut. I'm sure someone in the comments is going to tell me how unsafe it is to make a cut like this, but the reason I'm okay with it is because there is plenty of material here that catches the fence, so it has a nice firm grip on that fence. And also, because of the length, I'm standing pretty far off from the blade if anything did happen. But the rule of thumb for your shop should be, if you don't feel comfortable making that cut, then don't. There's tons of different ways to make different cuts, so make sure that you find the way that you're most comfortable with. After a bunch of sanding, I drilled pocket holes in one end of each of the legs and then attached the sets of legs together. I clamped a 2-inch wide board to the bottom of the legs to set the distance for the bottom shelf. I made sure the overhang was the same distance on both sides of the legs and used another clamp to hold the shelf in place. As you can see, I got quite a lot going on here, and in hindsight, I probably could have found a much easier way to go about this. Using my spacers, I followed the same procedure for the other two shelves. I countersunk the holes for the screws deep enough so that I could fill them with dowels later on. With the shelves now held in place, the second side went much quicker and easier. The dowel sounded like a good idea in my head, but I don't really think it added much to the design, so next time I'll probably use a different technique or maybe some screws with smaller heads. As you can see, I didn't sand the boards down completely because I kind of like that rough look on this cedar, and at just under $3 a picket, 2 pickets, this project cost just around $6. And if you're not a plant person, this one makes a great little display shelf that you can put around the house. All right, on to our last one. Our last plant stand only takes 1 fence picket to build. I cut a piece to 6 inches, 1 to 12 inches, and 1 to 18 inches. I cut 2 legs at 22 inches long and 2.5 inches wide with the same 31.26 angle cut on each end. I also cut 2 smaller legs with 31.26 degree cut on one end and used the same technique when I overlapped the legs on the last plant stand to find the angle for the other end. I drilled a couple of pocket holes in the end of each short leg to assemble the leg pieces together. Whoops, a little close to the end there. I'll have to re-drill that one. I clamped a board to my bench to make sure the bottoms of the 2 legs were sitting even with each other. Just like the last plant stand, I clamped a board to the bottom of the legs and made sure that one end of the board was flush with the end of the shorter leg to use as a guide for the position of the shelf. Again, I think I made the assembly harder than it needed to be with all my clamps and rigging up, but I prefer to learn things the hard way. Then it was just a matter of assembling it, making sure that the 3 shelves were even with each other on one end. Because this plant stand is a lot smaller than the last one, I opted to use brad nails for the assembly and just putty the holes. I think I like this one the best. I just like that modern look it has, and as you can see, I sanded this one down quite a bit more so you can really see that wood grain. All right, our 3 plant stands are finished, and as you can see, I rated my house for every plant I could find so you could see them in full effect, so you're welcome. Which one of these plant stand designs is your favorite? Let me know in the comments below. A big thank you to all our Grove members who help support this channel. Don't forget to go to the member site and download the free plans for this month. And if you would like to know some of the things that go on behind the scenes at Boydston Grove, we have a newsletter that we put out every month. It's free to sign up, so just hit the link below to get on the email list. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed today's projects, and until next week, be safe and have a great day.